It sure hasn't taken long at all for the Mets to get busy this offseason. While the Yankees, yeah, they've done nothing so far. Well, there's already a lot going on in this MLB offseason, but I only have time for so much, so today I'll mainly focus on the New York Mets. I'll talk about other teams towards the end, but not too much in detail. I mostly want to focus on the Mets for this video, and I guess it's kind of fitting that I do as a Yankees fan, but you're not going to see me throw a fit or anything. I'm just going to actually analyze what the Mets have done. So Starling Marte, Mark Canha, Eduardo Escobar, those guys are coming in. Noah Syndergaard a few weeks ago went to the Angels, but just a couple days ago we got what, if this was basketball, we would call a Woj bomb. Max Scherzer to the New York Mets on a 3-year, $130 million deal. Breaking yet another average annual value record. He has the option to opt out after the second season, but I don't imagine he will. Carlos Carrasco was supposed to be a solid number 2 behind Jacob deGrom. He ended up being injured and was awful in the 12 starts he did make. But even a healthy Carlos Carrasco is still no Max Scherzer. The 1-2 punch we are seeing out of the Mets starting rotation in Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. I'll say straight up that Jacob deGrom is the best starting pitcher in all of baseball. Had he not been injured last year, he easily would have ran away with his 3rd Cy Young Award in 4 years. And then you get the guy who you could definitely say is second to deGrom. Oh my god, that is absolutely terrifying. So what's going on, guys? It's Nick, and hope you guys are doing great. If you like what you're seeing so far and you want to consider hitting the thumbs up button, that'd be much appreciated. Also, if you're new and want to consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my sports content, that'd be much appreciated as well. Links to my social media are in the description. I'll follow you back. Now back to the content. So if you're a Washington Nationals fan who happens to stumble upon this, I'm so sorry for you guys that a guy that was once one of your own and had a lot to do with your team winning a World Series is now a division rival. Max Scherzer may be 37, turning 38 in July, but he is a fine wine. They say Father Time is undefeated. Well, right now Max Scherzer is actually defeating it. I'm not sure how much longer he will defeat it, but so far, yes, he is actually beating Father Time. Although it may also help him for the fact that he didn't break out until he was 28, so his late 30s is different than the late 30s of someone like CC Sabathia. 2020, Max Scherzer didn't have a great ERA, but Baseball Savant told us he still has good stuff, just the results in a short season weren't there. 2021, with both the Nationals and Dodgers, he put up a 2.46 ERA and struck out 34% of the batters he faced while only walking 5%. His fastball still sits in the mid-90s. He still has a really good spin rate. Yes, it's down from previous years. Yeah, sticky stuff, but he still dominated even after Major League Baseball started cracking down on that. So how much longer Max Scherzer can defeat Father Time? I do think that the safe bet is he will still dominate, at least in 2022. The Mets really fell apart in the second half of the season after deGrom hit the IL. Well, they shouldn't this time around with at least deGrom or Scherzer healthy. With both, it's just frightening. I have a feeling that Marcus Stroman won't be back. But deGrom and Scherzer at the top of the rotation alone, if Carlos Carrasco can get back to being solid again, if he's at his best, he's a fantastic number 3 behind deGrom and Scherzer. Then if you can get Taijuan Walker to pitch like he did in the first half of the season, which was good enough to make him an all-star, this Mets rotation, even without Thor or Stroman, is absolutely elite. Just the top 2 guys alone make their starting rotation absolutely terrifying. Now let's talk about their position players that they acquired. I'll actually start off by talking about the fact that they just lost Javi Baez as he's heading over to Detroit. Whenever he comes to Citi Field and hears the boo birds, let's hope he doesn't get too butthurt over it like he did before. At the time of the whole thumbs down fiasco though, yes, Baez was struggling, but after that he actually did really well for the Mets. If the Mets will be okay without him, once again, their starting rotation is elite. There's also the other offseason acquisitions that I will talk about in a moment. Pete Alonso can still mash. If Brandon Nimmo is healthy, he's a very good player. They just have to hope that Jeff McNeil can bounce back from a bad season in 2021 after 2 great ones in 2019 and 20. I definitely don't think it's unreasonable to say that the juiced balls did significantly benefit Jeff McNeil in 2019 though. The year he he hit 23 home runs, as he only hit 4 in 2020 in 52 games. He still hit for a very high average in 2020 though. And then this year, only 7 in 120 games. And he didn't have a good batting average or on base percentage either. His WRC plus was also below the league average of 100 at 93 this past season. And also for Francisco Lindor to get back to all-star form with all the money they're paying him. Lindor is still a plus defender, but just hasn't been so great at the plate since 2019. So on to the other acquisitions that the Mets made, starting with Eduardo Escobar, who just signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Mets. He can play multiple positions, but he's not actually very good at any of them. He's not exactly a high contact guy and is a free swinger, but does have some pop in his bat as he hit 28 home runs last season. He is also a switch hitter. With Eduardo Escobar coming in though, I think JD Davis may be on the move. Maybe McNeil, but I'd put my money on JD Davis getting traded. But hey, I've been dead wrong with predicting things way too many times before, and I never set out to be a predictions guru in the first place anyways, but my gut feeling is JD Davis is more likely to get moved. If McNeil does though, I don't think I'd be too worried about balancing the lineup when you have switch hitters in Lindor and Escobar. Brandon Nimmo is a left-handed hitter, but Jeff McNeil can still provide a little more balance because he has a left-handed bat. Now there's Mark Canha coming in on a 2-year, $26.5 million deal. He's a very low average hitter, but Moneyball, I won't roll the clip because I don't want to copy Fuzzy, but Moneyball is my favorite baseball movie, and yes, Mark Canha gets on base, and that's what makes him valuable. Last season, his on-base percentage was the lowest it's been since 2018, but it was still really good at 358. 2019, it was 396, and 2020, 387. Yes, a downward trend, but his on-base percentage is still pretty damn good. He does strike out quite a lot though, but the fact that he walks a lot, that's what gives him such a high on-base percentage. He at least doesn't strike out nearly as much as Joey Gallo, although he doesn't have as much pop in his bat as Joey Gallo either. Then there's Starling Marte going to the Mets for 4 years, $78 million. So we get it now. Steve Cohen wasn't lying when he said that he plans to spend. Now, while Marte is not a good defensive outfielder, while he was great in left field before he got suspended for 80 games for PEDs, and then happened to move to center field, which he happened to be not good at all. Maybe he does move back to left field for all we know, I'm not sure. But he's definitely not a good defensive center fielder at all. He is a solid bat to have in the lineup. And with him coming in, this not only looks like JD Davis's days as a Met are numbered, but also Michael Conforto's days as a Met, as he's a free agent. I'd rather bring back Conforto than Dominic Smith, but Dominic Smith is the one that's still under contract. Conforto is not. Unless Steve Cohen is really about to throw out even more money, but I think the safe bet is that Conforto's going to be gone. So with Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, Eduardo Escobar, Mark Canha, Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, James McCann, Dominic Smith, Robinson Cano. Yeah, Robinson Cano's coming back after being suspended for a year. It does look like the universal DH will become a thing, and I'm strongly in favor of it. I took some heat for that in my San Francisco Giants video, but I stand by what I said. I'll be glad to take even more heat for that, and it's something that I may make a video on in the future. So what is the best case scenario for the Mets? I think the best case scenario is they win the World Series. Worst case scenario, and this is not me trolling, it's just knowing the Mets, and I'm sure diehard Mets fans who may be watching this will tell you they're used to disappointment themselves, is that they all get hurt, Max Scherzer finally loses to Father Time, and they completely miss the playoffs. Of course, I don't think that's a safe bet to make. If you want to predict that, I would consider that a bold prediction. However, it's definitely a possibility just knowing the Mets. One thing we cannot deny though is Steve Cohen is bringing a much different culture to the team than the Wilpons did. Yes, Steve Cohen may have a shady past, but I still think that Mets fans have a very good reason to be excited right now to move on from the Wilpons, who moves like this were not happening under their ownership. With Steve Cohen though, it's happening. But I also want to keep the possibility of disappointment in mind though, because I did predict the Mets to make it to the NLCS last season. Obviously that was a very poorly aged take, but I'm also pretty sure I'm not the only one who expected the Mets to be really good. They haven't had a bad roster in quite a few years if we're being honest. Now that they have two aces at the top of their rotation, and they have what on paper looks like a pretty solid lineup. I think that we could finally see the Mets make some noise this year. Just have to hope that they're healthy. So now on to some other moves that were made. I won't go too much in detail about them, but maybe I will when I have a little more free time next week. So let's start with the Blue Jays getting some much needed pitching by adding Kevin Gausman. Now, if Kevin Gausman can stay what he was this past season as the San Francisco Giants ace, that would be huge for the Blue Jays. Yes, losing Marcus Semien definitely sucks, but the Blue Jays need pitching. Their offense is fine and they're addressing their pitching. Oh wait, I almost forgot Robbie Ray is going to the Mariners, but I still think that Blue Jays fans should be optimistic about their future. Robbie Ray to the Mariners though, we may finally be talking about the Mariners ending their postseason drought, as they did win 90 games last season, the most since 2003. Despite losing their Cy Young winner and a top 3 MVP candidate, the Blue Jays are still a team on the rise. Even if the Yankees get Carlos Correa, I'm still not getting my hopes up for the Yankees to be a World Series contender anytime soon. And for any dumbass that thinks I'm not a true fan for saying that, I do hope I'm wrong about that. I'd only not be a true fan if I were to actually root against the Yankees for the sake of being right, but I just do not believe in the Yankees culture right now, if you want me to keep it real. The Blue Jays, they still have Vladdy Jr., Bo Bichette, and Teoscar Hernandez. If George Springer can get healthy, that's definitely another plus. So their offense is still deadly even without Marcus Semien, and they have Gausman and Jose Barrios to top off their rotation. Alek Manoah, pretty good in the 20 games he started in. They should look to improve their bullpen though, but overall I think that Blue Jays fans should be happy about the direction their team is going in. The Giants losing Gausman, that's definitely a bummer, but they still have Anthony DeSclafani and Logan Webb in their rotation. Not sure how they're going to replace Buster Posey, so as of now I do think the Giants will take a step back, but I don't think that they're going to be bad by any means, just not have the best record in baseball again. The Texas Rangers, they got Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, so they're going all out, but they still need pitching. Their offense just leveled up big time though. As for the Dodgers, because they just lost one of their trade deadline splashes. Sorry Dodger fans about Scherzer and Corey Seager. Sorry that Max Scherzer was only short-lived. At least you guys do still have a boatload of money though. The whole Trevor Bauer situation, we don't even know what'll happen with that yet. But I don't think Dodger fans should act like the sky is falling. Yeah, I would be sad if I were a Dodgers fan, but not to the point where the sky is falling. James Paxton to the Red Sox. That just made me puke inside because I really liked him as a Yankee. Well, it's not like he's a once a Yankee, always a Yankee kind of guy, so I don't think that I'm gonna hate him or wish bad on him. It's just, I liked him when he was on my team. Seeing him go to my least favorite team in all of sports is definitely a bummer. But if you're a Red Sox fan watching this, what can you expect? Well, he's coming off Tommy John surgery, and he's always been injury prone. When healthy, yes, he will have his games where he gets lit up, but overall, he is an above average pitcher. At his best, he can look like an ace, he just won't look like an ace consistently. It is a one-year deal though, so I do think Red Sox fans should be happy about this move because it's low risk, high reward. So that's it for today. If you made it this far into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you can consider hitting that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. It'd really help out. And if I get 100 likes, I will go more in depth about other teams besides the Mets and their off season, probably sometime next week. If you want to consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting the notification bell for more sports content, whether it's NBA, MLB, or NFL, love to have you as part of the team. Love to have you get down in the comment section and let me know all your thoughts. I'll be glad to interact with you. I do respond to comments. If you want to check out either of these videos up above, that'd be much appreciated as well. I think you'll really enjoy those. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.